coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron is co-chair of the Met Gala event that took place Monday night in New York, but he was unable to attend. LeBron had to stay home in L.A. because of his injured left knee. LeBron has a grade 2 medial collateral sprain in his knee and is facing a 3 to 6 week recovery. No surgery was required. While keeping his knee propped up, LeBron has more time to think about whether he wants to return for a 23rd season. Clippers president Lawrence Frank said he wants Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to remain a part of the team's foundation for next season. Leonard is 33, Harden turns 36 in August. The Boston Celtics' overtime loss to New York Monday night should be a lesson for all coaches. The Celtics missed a playoff record 45 three-pointers. At some point, Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla should have told his players to stop shooting threes and get closer to the basket. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Probable cause, you don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause, probable cause, yeah. Probable cause, you don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause. Now who's this in the 4.6? About 20 to 5, got a truck full of chicks. Just leaving the disco, me and my man from the Knicks. Old dog later on because they live in the bricks. Jumped on the George Wash to the natural turnpike. Head feeling right from a long night. Yeah. Whoa, I see Jake, so I let off the gas. So I was doing 55 when I passed this. I looked over, caught the shine from the rim of the Rover. You know his next move, pull it over. I pulls over to the right-hand shoulder. Look through the rear view, he got his hand on his holder. He had this look, how this black get this car. You know these cracker state troopers don't know rap stars. He asked me for my license and my registration. See my New York tags, then he asked me my destination. I said vacation, handed him my registration. Papers were straight, so I didn't wet the situation. Got my back, and that was that, but that wasn't that, cause in fact, I got stopped 2 more times. Probable cause, you don't have to break the laws. They say
Probable cause, you know she's here. Attorney Caree Harper is in the building. She was a decorated police officer, one of the most decorated in the East Bay area before becoming a civil rights attorney, which is a wild story, but a true one. She got a Marksman Medal for shooting skills and a Lifesaving Medal. This woman dived into a canal of water and pulled out a unconscious driver who was submerged and performed CPR. If my attorney can't do all that, I don't want him. Attorney Caree Harper, good morning.
Good morning. What an intro. Thank you, Miss Dominique.
I feel like you wrote that song, even though it's brand Nubian. I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, great to have you in. And we do have a lot to talk about. But I want to start off thanking you for all the work that you do. I mean, you really put it down for our community. And this woman right here goes hard for justice. And I just don't think you get enough credit.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I do what I would want someone to do for me. And I try and work hard for my clients, less cases, and I focus very hard on the cases that I do have.
Yeah, you do. So. I mean, no stone unturned. If there's something to be found, Attorney Harper gonna find it And I trust me, your adversary in court is going to be mad that she did.
Yes. Thank you, Dominique.
I know, because, we're friends off the air. So I, get to hear about different cases and how they come to conclusion. So I already know somebody's going to do a television series about you one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
That's catching me off guard.
Yeah, why not? Hard-charging civil rights attorney goes all out for justice.
Hey, okay.
Sounds like a win. But anyway, so
as long as I get a little cameo, like at the very end or something, right?
Yeah. You get to play the judge.
Because we know I'm not running.
That would be funny. No, well, we don't know. You never know. She ran for judge and then hopped back into the civil rights attorney career. So crazy developments in one of your cases. A lot of us were aware of this situation at the Winco, in front of the Winco store, where these two older Americans were pepper sprayed and the woman was thrown down on the ground. It was one of those terrible videos that got everybody talking.
Right.
And then what happened?
Well, there were a lot of accusations that the folks had done some shoplifting, and even there was a broadcast that there was a robbery in progress. So, officers get a little bit more heightened, deservedly so, when there's an alleged felony in progress. There was no robbery. There was no shoplifting. They said the man that was with my client had shoplifted a cake, and the folks... my clients, they returned the items that they purchased because they didn't want to, patronize a business. They felt disrespected. They returned those items and they waited in the parking lot. They didn't leave, although it was their right to do so because they weren't under arrest, nor were they told they were going to be arrested. So when the deputies arrived, they contacted the man and they were talking and they were hooking him up to do after they searched him. So the female... they were putting handcuffs on him after they searched him. And the female began filming. And she's identified in the paperwork as JH, so I won't say her name because although it's been out there already. But anyway, the female did what people are doing, which is film the police, which is within her constitutional rights to do. We would not have known about George Floyd had not there been that courageous teenager that was filming. So my female client filmed, and immediately after she started filming, one of the deputies comes up, violently throws her down without saying, move back, without giving any directives whatsoever. He just laid hands on, although she was exercising her constitutional right to be there and to be free of excessive force. So he gets on her, knee and neck, pepper sprays her while she's screaming. He gets on the air and broadcasts, I'm in a fight. That was a lie. He writes in his report, he was in a fight. That was a lie.
He was in a fight with a woman he just slammed down to the ground.
With a knee in the neck.
An older American.
Yes, older black female. And he's saying, I'm going to stop fighting or I'm going to punch you. And she's saying, I'm not fighting. And there's a patron filming in the parking lot saying, don't you punch a lady, and she's yelling that out. And she gets a black eye from it. She has injuries to her arm. She's arrested, and for what? For filming. That's what she was arrested for.
I mean, to be honest with you, Attorney Harper, that's scary to me because that's something I would do. Just go up and start filming something. And then from out of nowhere, you get body slammed. Like, there's no warning.
No warning.
Dispersal or whatever that is that they're supposed to do.
No warning,
that's
nothing.
Actually illegal, right? They can't just, or can they? Can they just come up and slam you to the ground with no warning?
No, that's illegal. That's why he was prosecuted. Now, look how many agencies could have prosecuted him. The district attorney could have prosecuted him for the state violations. The attorney general can prosecute. Also, the feds can prosecute for the deprivation of her constitutional rights, which he did when he slammed her down to the ground.
So the county could prosecute the state or the feds?
At that time, the
three.
County could have prosecuted, but since all this has happened, and what has happened is that Trump's administration has come in and tried to save the day. This Deputy Trevor Kirk,
He was convicted of the federal charges.
Yes, convicted of federal at the federal level. Trevor Kirk has come in. I'm sorry.
Trevor Kirk is the deputy, right?
Trevor Kirk is the deputy. Trump has come in after former sheriff and his wife Villanueva has been acting all up on the internet, going all out, trying to get deputies to boycott runs that they normally do.
Right, that little deputy event.
Baker to Vegas, I believe.
Yeah.
Making Trevor Kirk a poster boy for some kind of campaign against Sheriff Luna.
So Sheriff Villanueva, who did not get reelected, is behind organizing that boycott. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
I know
his
yesterday
his
wife, his alleged puppet master, his wife.
You said that.
I said it. Nobody else.
I don't want all his followings to come after me and my 12 followers.
So it's all good. No, but I was just going to say that I think it was yesterday or the day before that Villanueva was on Twitter announcing that he has now joined the Republican Party. And I said
as if that's a surprise.
Right. What I said is this is a tiger announcing that he has stripes.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
It was all bad. He attended the trial of Trevor Kirk in federal court.
He did.
Along with a lot of other deputies. And you know how traditionally the deputies will sit behind the prosecutors. They were all sitting behind Trevor Kirk, mad dogging these prosecutors, these hardworking prosecutors, 3 of which have resigned in protest of Trump offering Trevor Kirk this sweetheart deal of a misdemeanor.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. What does that mean? How unusual is it? How does that even work? When we come forward, we're talking with the civil rights attorney, Caree Harper. If you have a question, you could call to 800-920-1580 or hop on the youtube.com, KBLA 1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Caree Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Caree Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. D.A. Hockman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hockman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney Caree Harper is my guest. You can find her on Instagram. Are you still on Twitter?
I am.
I am too. I haven't got off there. Is it Attorney Harper?
It's Harper for Justice. I had to
Harper
change
for
that
Justice.
other J word to Justice to keep the...
Right. Harper for Justice to
Yes.
stay
And
consistent.
it's the number 4. Yeah, folks should follow because we're going to be doing some things about this crazy situation, and there'll be an upcoming press conference about it as soon as we get some type of, I mean, it's new, everything is newly developing on this situation.
Right. So if you're just joining us, Attorney Caree Harper is the attorney for J.H., the woman who was thrown down by a L.A. County sheriff.
Trevor Kirk at the Winco.
In Lancaster, right?
Right.
And then he was convicted. He was convicted of, what was it? Something under the color of...
Yes, he battered her under the color of authority. He deprived her of her constitutional rights, and it's 18 times. It's a long federal section, but basically in California it would have been felony excessive force.
And he would have done jail time.
Yes.
For sure. And here's the crazy thing. I think it's 2%, if I'm not mistaken, of police officers that kill or use excessive force that are held accountable in court. And out of that 2%, only a tiny fraction are even convicted.
This is rare. I was really surprised because we were geared up because I represented her in the federal civil rights trial. We were geared up for trial May of last year. And within 3 weeks, the judge continued it, Judge Wilson, the same judge that's presiding over the criminal case. He continued it because it looked like the feds were going to charge or indict Trevor Kirk. And I'm like, yeah, right. My first thing is, yeah, right. You're messing up my trial. I could have. But later that year, I started getting lots of calls and providing information, what I was allowed to provide to the federal prosecutors, and they indicted him. And that's a rarity. And then they actually tried it. He didn't take a plea bargain. He was offered a version of this before trial. Dominique, even in state court, you don't get the pre-trial offer after you've been convicted.
Right. Today's price is not tomorrow's price.
Right. You took your bite at the apple. You chewed it. You ran up taxpayers' dollars. We had prosecutors that did their job. They fought hard. They were not allowed to call the eyewitness who filmed it in the first place. And when I sat in and watched, I'm like, oh my God, the judge isn't even letting her try the case. And I'm nervous because why isn't he letting her testify in the case if she filmed the incident herself? But the prosecutors used different angles of what was done and different body camera images and put on a fantastic case. And the jury came back in a day, maybe less than a day, and it was clear-cut felony deprivation of her civil rights. That comes with a maximum of 10 years. Now, would he get 10 years? No, because he doesn't have a record. He would probably get a couple, but in Fed court, you do 80%. You don't get this good time day, you serve a day, you get out a day. No, you don't get that 50%.
And any time at all is pretty rare as far as accountability for cops. So here, I know you just said it, but I'm going to ask you to say it again because this is something that I think we could easily miss the significance of it. You have a conviction of a cop. Now Bill Asaley, who's been appointed by the Trump administration as the attorney for this this region, is being instructed to step in and downgrade those charges. Is that what they're trying to do?
He's already done it.
He's done it. That's right.
I have the filing.
That's
I got
crazy.
a call on May 1st, on Thursday, May 1st, by Mr. Keenan, Robert Keenan. And he's a U.S., he's a prosecutor as well with the feds, based out of Santa Ana. And he was not on the case before. These other prosecutors in downtown L.A. sat with the case for a year, tried it, worked the case up. Mr. Keenan, who'd previously asked for 3 months to review this case, they wanted to continue it out to August. My office filed an opposition to that, saying that the victims have served enough time in limbo. Please don't continue it. Judge Wilson did not give them 3 months. So if you needed 3 months to review all this evidence, if you needed it then, what makes you qualified to cut this deal right now and give them this deal? And so hours after, he filed a 19-page post-trial agreement, plea and sentencing for defendant Trevor Kirk, within hours of talking to me and telling me why he was going to do it. And what I told him is Trevor Kirk doesn't merit it because he's a accused wife beater. He was arrested a year ago for throwing his wife down in exactly the same way as he threw my client down in front of his children.
Wow.
At that time, a year ago, I begged the DA's office to prosecute Trevor Kirk last year.
On the county level.
On the county level for the domestic violence. Now, if you do it for a felony, the statute of limitations, that's 3 years and a day. They can still prosecute him for terrorist threats to his wife. He threatened to bury her in the desert, and we have his mother-in-law under oath saying that, which I will be posting it on my Instagram later. We're going through the footage. There's
Harper
a lot of
for Justice with the number 4.
Harper for Justice with number 4. We're going to put the mother-in-law statement up there where she's calling him a sociopath and saying that he threatened to bury her daughter in the desert, and ask Villanueva and everyone else that's using him as a poster boy, is this the man that you think should be your poster boy for getting cops off? No.
Right. So, but this is the part I want people to understand. This cop, sheriff's deputy, was offered a plea deal by the feds and turned it down. Went to trial, lost, was convicted, and now here comes the Trump administration giving him the deal after the trial. That doesn't even sound legal. Who would ever take a plea deal if you knew you could get the same thing after you lost?
$25 fine, probation, and maybe he won't be going to jail. And guess what he can also do? Be a cop again. And I have from my investigation in the civil rights case that he has a job offer already, not in this state, but
that's the sound of my brain exploding.
Right. No felony conviction, because just a misdemeanor is a misdemeanor, and you can wheel and deal with a misdemeanor. There are cops on the force with misdemeanor convictions.
I'm quite sure there are. But here's the thing. In California, we have that decertification bill where police officers, if they do stuff like throw people down on the ground or domestic violence, whatever, they can be decertified, but that doesn't stop them from going to another state.
Yeah.
And didn't the Trump administration just take down the federal database that the Biden administration put in place to track problem cops?
I do not know. Do you tell me about it?
I believe they did. Yeah. I believe I reported on that story. So here it is becoming super convenient for this deputy, Trevor Kirk, so if they've already filed this, what's the next step? I mean, is it up to the judge?
It's up to Judge Stephen V. Wilson, First Street Courthouse, 350 First Street on the 10th floor. I've been before him. I think he's a fair judge. In my heart, I don't believe he will grant this. That's what my heart says, and I'm gonna have faith that he doesn't grant it because it's ridiculous.
Okay, so is this a situation where public pressure would help, or would it make things worse? It's so hard to know. But I feel like if this judge goes along with this idea, you refuse the plea deal, and then you got convicted, and now the Trump administration steps back in and gives you the same plea deal that you turned down or even something sweeter, it feels like it's creating a model for how cops can be held never accountable for anything ever, which is even more insane than the made-up doctrine of qualified immunity.
Well, it does set a precedent. It says to every officer, hey, okay, I'm indicted. Let me roll the dice because I'm going to cite this case, this Trevor Kirk case, and I'm going to lay this down and say other judges follow it as precedent. And during our phone call, Mr. Keenan cited one case in a court in front of another judge that he thought was relatable. I said, well, Trevor Kirk is a wife beater. Trevor Kirk threatened to bury his wife in the desert. Trevor Kirk took the fifth on things that were not related to this incident. So he has other skeletons in his closet, and he already had this chance. He actually had a jury of his peers. Trevor Kirk, as a white male deputy, looking at his jury, he literally had a jury of his peers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and they still convicted.
Still convicted.
Which shows you that it's probably, it's pretty far out of pocket. But yet, Villanueva is able to sort of rile the troops, some troops, and have a court presence of cops for him and create a boycott of this police sort of fraternal event that they do, and even has Sheriff Luna denying that Luna's office was the one that referred this case for prosecution, which I thought was crazy.
You know what, Dominique? When I come on a case, I always make the rounds and try and get all the prosecutors to prosecute. So I think it's really interesting after we did a press conference where I did make the rounds and try to get the prosecutors to prosecute that Sheriff Villanueva is trying to blame this on Luna. I think this is Villanueva's chance, or he's trying to make a chance to get back in the running to run against Luna. He's trying to dirty him up with the cops. And I would say, you know what? You could blame it on me. I'll do a Michelle Crescent. You don't. I routinely ask for charges from everyone who can charge. So
you're saying Luna can blame it on... Yeah, yes, but the fact that he feels he has to deny it shows the level of hatred that Villanueva has sowed within L.A. Sheriff's Department around this particular case. Why are you guys boycotting marching and sitting in to protect a guy that threw an elderly lady down on the ground and threw his own wife down on the ground? Is that your cop role model? I don't get it.
Yes, that's what they're choosing because they're having an internet... It's about I think we are going to have to activate everybody on the internet. I'm really not that comfortable with it. I have it for business reasons, but this is where folks are reading these things. So I think people need to get activated and go on former Sheriff Villanueva's site and go against some of the things that are being said. Go on these sites and start respectfully acting up on them.
Factually acting up.
I post the factual stuff. I'll give you talking points, but I think we have to get activated more on social media. I think I'm saying that more to myself because but really that's where a lot of this stuff starts at and continues is on the internet, right?
Yep. So let's keep it going. Attorney Caree Harper is our guest, and we are talking L.A. Sheriff's Department, politics, and what we can do about it. Hey, there's a call to action right now. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Closing arguments are wrapping up in the trial of 3 ex-Memphis police officers charged in Tyree Nichols' 2023 death. Prosecutors say the case boils down to a simple fact.
That night, January 7th, 2023, those 3 officers did bad things.
Video evidence proves excessive force was used. None of the officers took the stand. The Trump administration is offering undocumented immigrants a $1,000 stipend and travel assistance if they voluntarily self-deport using the CBP Home app. The payment is issued after their return is confirmed through the app. And Rihanna reveals her third pregnancy at the 2025 Met Gala with the theme Superfine Tailoring Black Style. She debuted her baby bump outside the Carlisle Hotel in New York City before arriving on the red carpet. A$AP Rocky said in an interview that they are very happy and this was the perfect event to reveal their expanding family. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron is co-chair of the Met Gala event that took place Monday night in New York, but he was unable to attend. LeBron had to stay home in LA because of his injured left knee. LeBron has a grade 2 medial collateral sprain in his knee and is facing a 3 to 6 week recovery. No surgery was required. While keeping his knee propped up, LeBron has more time to think about whether he wants to return for a 23rd season. Clippers president Lawrence Frank said he wants Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to remain a part of the team's foundation for next season. Leonard is 33. Harden turns 36 in August. The Boston Celtics' overtime loss to New York Monday night should be a lesson for all coaches. The Celtics missed a playoff record 45 three-pointers. At some point, Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla should have told his players to stop shooting threes and get closer to the basket. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, and I'm thrilled to have the exclusive. But before we continue with Attorney Caree Harper, I want to give you a chance to win these tickets. We are celebrating Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you, Caree, and your mama. And right now I've got a pair of tickets to the Queens. 4 Legends. What a show. This is going to be on the Mother's Day Sunday. Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Stephanie Mills. It is at the Kia Forum Sunday, May 11th. And we've got a pair of tickets right now for caller 5. Be nice to Miles. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Congratulations going out to Miss Tanya, who was our winner on yesterday. And I'm so blessed I get to give a pair of tickets away every single day to the 4 Legends on stage at the Kia Forum on Mother's Day. Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Stephanie Mills. They gon' be singing. All right, 800-920-1580 if you want those tickets. We got you. We got you on Mother's Day. Attorney Caree Harper is my guest. We were talking about your case, this case of J.H., your client, who was thrown down by a sheriff's deputy who was prosecuted federally, offered a plea deal, refused it, lost, and now the Trump administration, with their lackey, Mr. Bill, who was appointed out of the assembly to be prosecutor for the Trump administration, has already filed a motion to downgrade that.
Yes.
To a misdemeanor, tiny slap on the hand, and then the guy can go get the job in another state as a cop that's waiting for him and throw more people down.
Yep.
And so it's in the hands of the judge at this point. And you said before News, Traffic, and Sports that the move might be to talk about it on social media.
I think so. That's how all of this started with Villanueva talking about it on social media. I was told by Mr. Kirk's attorney that Mr. Kirk wasn't the one who initiated it or asked for it, but Villanueva kind of selected him as the model to have something to, talk about.
Yeah, well, and Villanueva, our new Republican who just left the party, finally came out as MAGA. And you said they changed the facts. What do you mean by that?
They literally changed the facts. The U.S. Attorney's Office released a press release about the indictment and then about the conviction. And there were statements of facts made in the plea agreement that have literally been changed. And now with the plea agreement, they're saying that my client swatted at the deputy. You can watch the video and see if you feel that's true. That's not in the original plea agreement.
So this is alternative facts, is what we're getting.
Alternative facts to allow for this plea. And there's a rule against lying in a public document.
Yeah,
it's the opinion.
Isn't that
of literally lying in a public document, saying that she swatted?
Isn't that perjury?
Well, that's testifying illegally in a trial. There's another section that applies to lying in a public document and having a judge rely on it. So I would suggest if folks want to if folks are a little bit angry about this, that they should call Robert Keenan, who is the attorney. Usually you have a bunch of U.S. attorneys listed on these type of documents, but now in Santa Ana, instead of downtown, there's one guy listed under Mr. Asali's name. Yeah, that's Robert Keenan, and his telephone number is area code 714-338-3597. 714-338-3597. If you didn't get it, you can get it off my IG
I'm gonna
page.
put it in the YouTube
yes.
chat in the YouTube under today's post. But look, I think this is not just another case.
No.
I feel like this is setting a crazy precedent. The president said when he was on the campaign trail that police should have total immunity. And to me, he's putting in place a system for that.
Judges have.
Well, not even judges, right? Didn't they just convict that judge for killing his wife?
Well, that was outside of his duties as a judge.
Oh, yeah,
if
that was at their
in
home.
their duties, or if you can say that even though they may be in their duties, they were acting in an administrative capacity, then there is a way to pierce going after a judge if they go up and beyond. But unfortunately, judges have total immunity, and I don't think they really should have it. But that's another
we can do a whole show on that.
About,
we can do a whole show on that. But I mean, right now, it seems like he's creating a system to let every single cop off. Oh, you didn't take the plea deal. You got convicted, which is rare enough.
Rare enough.
And then now we're going to come back in from the federal level and give you the plea deal that you turned down.
And literally change the facts. But, you know, when Mr. Asali, if that's how you pronounce his name, I don't know.
I think it's Asali.
Asali.
Yeah,
when he comes in and he changes facts
right, that
the jury did not find that supported that. In California, there's a new tattletale law for lawyers. Lawyers are obligated to report other lawyers for violations that rise to that are ethical violations or crimes, or literally, you know.
So you would have no choice.
You would have no choice, and you're supposed to report.
Wow.
I maybe other lawyers should read this and see if they think there should be a complaint against Mr. Asali and Mr. Keenan for putting facts in here that are not true.
And just as a sidebar, this is the same Bill Asali who tried to say he was Bilal Asali and suddenly act like he was, some kind of ally, and that he was going to put forth this reparations bill. The minute he gets tapped by the Trump administration, he's off. And what is he doing? Working to avoid accountability for a cop who was convicted by a jury of his peers.
And you want to know something unfortunate, Dominique? Yesterday I talked to the person in charge of the justice division of the DA's office that prosecutes cops when they rarely do get prosecuted.
LA County?
Yes. Unfortunately, there is a California statute, 793, that says if you've been prosecuted by another jurisdiction or the federal government and you are either convicted or acquitted, that we cannot prosecute you for that same offense. Unlike when the DA, you know how the Rodney King officers got off and then the feds came in?
Right.
We don't have that reciprocity.
So
that someone needs to look into changing 739 PC because that's bull.
So
right
that means
there.
that Nathan Hochman's office, even if they had the will to do so, could not put charges on this cop, this Trevor Kirk dude.
They are saying that's what it looks like. People are researching it, is what I'm hearing. I have appellate attorneys researching it.
I'm sure you do.
Because while he was on top of her and he's raising his fist saying, "Stop fighting or I'll punch you," that's a terrorist threat. And I'm like, a terrorist threat. So I'm saying, hey, he said that's a felony. Go after him for the felony. Do whatever you can. You know, when other people get arrested, they throw everything against the wall. Why don't you try it? See if it flies.
Especially since she wasn't resisting. So you're also lying about what's happening.
Yeah. And I was literally coming into the interview talking to someone who has twice as much experience as I do, and they do appeals, and it looks like it may be for the total act. I don't know for sure, but it doesn't look good for the home team on that front. But the felony domestic violence and terrorist threats from 1 year ago still can carry the day and at least get him a felony charge. So I've been asked by the DA's office to put a package together of what I have. Hopefully we can get something on this guy.
Attorney Harper, please do our work for us. Okay. Molly Bell says, love me some Attorney Caree Harper. She has nerve and power. She goes for the little people who need help.
Thank you, Miss Molly Bell.
Yes,
love
indeed.
You too.
We will continue our conversation with civil rights attorney Caree Harper when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed. I don't like it
inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Pasadena City College is proud to support Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. For over 100 years, PCC has been a pillar of the community, and we're here for you as we work together to recover from the Eaton fire and rebuild Altadena's future. At PCC, we offer diverse career education programs that prepare you for in-demand jobs, fueling both today's recovery and tomorrow's growth. Whether you're starting a new career or advancing your skills, PCC gives you tools to build your future and your community. Pasadena City College, here for the Dena, here for you. Learn more at pccfordena.com.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Conversation with attorney Caree Harper is the one we are referring to. And just to be clear, I keep going over this because I want people to understand it. Just to be clear, this deputy was convicted by a federal jury of assaulting your client, throwing your client down. And now the Trump administration has stepped in to try to get your client the plea deal that they turned down in the first place, basically, now, after the fact. How rare is that, a post-trial plea deal?
In 23 years, I haven't heard of it.
I've never heard of it either.
And none of my mentors have heard of this. And quite frankly, that section I cited, the 793 Penal Code section, nobody's heard of that either, because it's rare that the state needs to go and fix what the feds are doing. Right. Usually it's the other way around.
And that's kind of a scary thing about the time we're in with this administration.
Right.
Because we're not going to get the Ruby Bridges situation where the feds come in and do the right thing after a racist state or local government makes a wrong decision, or the Rodney King situation where the feds had to step in and prosecute for civil rights. This Department of Justice is not doing that. I wonder how many other states have a provision like California where the county can't challenge or the state can't challenge the feds. That would be bad.
That's very bad. I would suggest that folks look up their state assembly person's information and write to them and say they want them to recall Section 793 of the Penal Code. Recall that section, because now with the Trump administration, our state government is going to have to fix some of the things that our federal government is going to do to our citizens, and this is the best example of it. So they got to get rid of that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, good to know it now. We're 4 months into this era, if you want to call it that. So, but to be clear, you settled your case. So from a civil perspective, this doesn't harm your client, right?
I did my job, actually. I'm
Surprise.
just doing overtime. I did my job. I got my client paid very handsomely, and both of them. And I'm just doing extras. We're going to file, the victims in the case get to file things in opposition of what the government is doing. And thanks, Attorney Russell Butler, for your email. I read it, and we are going to file something this week to formally oppose this. Because we can't let this stand.
But that's on principle. Your clients got their nice settlement.
Yes.
And although, it may not remove the trauma or the physical harm that was done,
right.
It's good that your client got compensated.
It is. And it's always subject to approval of the supervisor, the county supervisors and the claims board. So whenever you settle a case, it's contingent on their approval, but it's kind of rarely. I've never heard of them not approving it.
Is that done, or we're still waiting? Is that still?
No, it's still waiting. The county's really backed up, so they
slow.
probably won't actually get things in hand for maybe 9 months. Hopefully by Christmas.
But it would be too late for Trump, Asali, Villanueva, et al. To try to change that outcome, because that's a civil case that's already settled.
Well, yeah, it's a private. I mean, it's signed by all the parties, so. They don't really they're not involved with the civil part of the action, but the criminal part, the U.S. attorneys, they're involved in that. And I just wanted to shout out the U.S. attorneys who really tried a great case. They had some key evidence that was not admitted. Eli Alcaraz, Brian Firestein, and then Cassie Palmer, she resigned along with these two attorneys that I mentioned. She resigned because of this plea bargain. And lead counsel Michael Morris is still there. I watched them, and they worked the evidence they had masterfully. 3-day trial, jury was out less than a day. They did their job. And what does it say to the morale of the attorneys who fought? They won. They fought, they won. And now someone's coming out and saying, hey, I wasn't in the fight. I haven't read any documents. I don't know what's going on.
I'm new here.
But I kind of
agenda.
like what Villanueva's saying, and I'm just going to overturn everything.
So those attorneys resigned. Those prosecutors resigned. How rare or common is that?
To quit your job, they're probably making $250,000 and they probably have mortgages and kids, and to say, I'm out of here because I refuse to sign that piece of crap document that you're making us sign, I would say that's kind of rare, and that's gutsy, and that's admirable, and I hope they all have jobs. Michael Morris hasn't resigned yet, but Michael, if you want to resign and come over to the law offices of Caree Harper, we'd be happy to have you.
Well, look, here's the thing. There's been some judges doing the right thing, right?
Yes.
Not all of them, but there's been some judges doing the right thing, holding this administration accountable. There's been a lot of lawyers doing the right thing, right? You had lawyers resigning, prosecutors resigning in New York over that Eric Adams mess. You see this happening here in California. And are the lawyers and the judges, are they going to save us? Are they going to be able to save us? from these miscarriages of justice?
We're praying. Judge Wilson is a Reagan appointed judge. That the Reagan Republicans are a lot different than these MAGA Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some great cases in front of what Reagan appointed judges. My case in front of Judge Morris, he called the balls and strikes. He made rulings favorable in my case, and he's made rulings that I did not like, but I think he is a fair judge. I think he's going to do the right thing and uphold the jury verdict. I think he respects the jury verdict, and he's not going to be swayed by these by political stunt that the Trump group is playing.
Do you think that if it doesn't happen, if the judge somehow is complicit, what happens then?
He walks.
He walks.
He lives to patrol again in a neighborhood near you,
and,
maybe.
And other offices will probably follow suit in this new Trump tradition of the post-conviction plea deal.
I hope not. I'm.
It would never fly on Law and Order.
Law and Order.
It would never fly on Law and Order. Not on my show.
Right.
That's crazy. How can we help? How can we help you help us? Because this isn't, like you said, this is overtime. You won your settlement. Your client is good. You're in here because you don't like what's happening.
It's the right thing to do to fight against this. And she does have standing to file something and to be heard at the sentencing and before the sentencing. So it's the right thing to do. And if folks want to reach out to their assembly person and say, hey, let's get rid of 793, Penal Code Section 793, that's also the right thing to do. I'll be uploading that on my Instagram page. But I did also put numbers for Rob Keenan, who is offering this sweetheart deal. And also, let's contact the DA's office and say press felony charges against Trevor Kirk for whatever charge you can press. I didn't bring that number with me, but again, it's at Harper for Justice on Instagram. Let's get the DA's office to press whatever charges that could be pressed. Quite frankly, if maybe I don't want a Monday morning quarterback, but there was an opportunity to prosecute him a year ago.
Yeah.
Let's not miss it a second time and blow the statute of limitations to prosecute.
Right. And so we can call or write to DA Nathan Hochman, since he claimed he was going to be the hard middle, and go after, make sure the law is upheld. Or we can call Robert Keenan at 714-338-3597, 714-338-3597. Attorney Caree Harper, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me, Dominique.
Harper for Justice with the number 4.
The number
on
4.
Instagram and wherever else you find her.
That's right.
I appreciate you coming in and spending the hour with me today. I'm going to go to a Thurgood Marshall quote on the way out. He says, where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country. This is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on. I love that quote from our Howard University graduate. Tavis Smiley's up next. It's a Tuesday, so that means he's got a great show. It's a day that ends in Y, so that means he's got a great show and a full lineup for you. Don't forget to tap in with me on the social media. I'm at DiPrima Radio. I'm on a posting rampage right now, so there's always going to be stuff up there on all platforms. We are at KBLA 1580 on every platform. Please like, follow, subscribe, talk smack. It keeps us strong, helps keep us here for you. It's that community that keeps us strong. Like my mother, and happy Mother's Day to you and your
can
mommy.
I say happy Mother's Day? My mom is listening. Happy Mother's Day, Alice Jeffries.
Happy Mother's Day, Alice Jeffries. Tavis Smiley is up next. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood.